just yesterday I had to get a colonoscopy, and I thought I would kind of tell my story of that situation in the hopes that if you are like concerned about getting one or afraid of it or whatever, that maybe this will help you kind of get over that. My story in this regard is I'm 56 years old. When you get about 50, in your late 40s, turn 50, they encourage you to get one. Now, due to a variety of reasons, I'm trying to think, I don't remember why. Maybe I just blew it off. I'm not really sure. I didn't get one was I was 50. Then the pandemic hit and nobody was doing anything like that. And so at a certain point, I did the Cologuard screening. That was about 3 years ago, right during the height of the pandemic. So it made the most sense to my doctor to do that. And when I did that, it came back negative, and he was like, hey, you're good to go for another 3 years. This year, I got a notification from Cologuard like, hey, probably time to do another one. And my doctor said, yeah, I agree. So I did that. And basically what that involves is, it's really pretty straightforward, is they send you this kit and you kind of put this thing on your toilet so that you can poop right into this little bucket. Then you take the bucket and you scrape some of the poop off, put it into like a test tube. Obviously you screw it down, seal it up, and then pour some preservative liquid on the poo that's in the bucket, screw the bucket closed again, and then take it to a UPS store, and they next day air it to this lab. I've done that twice now. This last time I did it, which was about a month ago, it came back positive. And they notify you by email, your doctor gets in touch with you and everything else. And what that means is, I'm not that kind of doctor. So essentially there's a lot of false positives, but it does pick up the DNA that come from polyps, which tend to grow in your colon when you get older. Those can be totally benign and no problems whatsoever, or you can end up having colon cancer. But more likely than not, it's the former, just there's really nothing going on and you got a false positive, or you got DNA from these polyps, which could turn into cancer at some future point. So, immediately I'm like, okay, I know what he's going to say. I got to get a colonoscopy. So I just bit the bullet and scheduled it right away. What is that about? The day before the actual procedure, you have to clear your colon out. And I talked to a few people about this, and they're like, hey, you want to get a jump start on this, dial back on your processed foods and on cheese and dairy and things like that in the week before. And that will help with the purging, that's exactly what it is. And then you go to any pharmacy and you buy a couple of things, and every doctor is probably going to have something a little different, but basically these laxatives and this stuff, Miralax or generic brand Clearlax, this is this powder, and you get a bunch of Gatorade, and then at a particular time when they'll tell you exactly when to do it, you start, first off, that very first day of the purging, you can't eat anything other than something like my colonoscopy was scheduled for 10 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. On Sunday, that meant that I could eat 2 hard-boiled eggs with no salt and pepper on them at 8 o'clock in the morning, and that's all the food I could have the rest of the day. Now, you can drink as much water or fruit juices, most of them, all day long, and they want you to do that because you could get dehydrated. So then about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I started drinking this stuff mixed in with a bunch of Gatorade. Dump this into my trusty Vitamix, which has an amazing 1,001 uses, and blitzed up a whole bunch of this stuff. And quite frankly, it didn't taste like anything except drinking Gatorade. So that was great. Over the next 4 hours, you start off, you take 2 of these little tiny laxatives, and then you start drinking this stuff equally over the span of those 4 hours. So for me, that was from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. In about half an hour, things started. And this is not something you want to do when you're like out and about or anywhere further away than maybe 15 feet from a toilet, because about half an hour into it, it's starting. And basically about every 15 minutes from then until 2 o'clock in the morning, it's going to happen, and you are taking a quick jog. It's not like you're just going to sit there and poo your pants, but you could. But it wasn't like when you have the flu or something and you're really sick and you're having diarrhea or something. It's not like that. It's pretty painless and really not a big deal at all. And because I'm drinking so much fluids, I really wasn't hungry that bad. My dog Sam was upset because he wasn't getting as much snacks as he normally would. Then the day of, you gotta have somebody take you because they give you anesthesia. I went up there and I have to tell you, like, I was nervous about this because I've never had a procedure in a hospital. My grandpa stitched me up twice when I was a teenager. Never been under anesthesia. I've had dental stuff done, but that's it. So I go up there and Katrina came with me, thankfully. You kind of hang out for a minute and they process you in, and then you go in, they start an IV on you. You get to wear the fancy gown, which is, quite revealing. And then they take you in. Literally, this is how it went. I've already had an IV started, so no big deal. They just hooked it up. So I'm on like fluids, Ringer's lactate for those of you who are old and saw Emergency. They started the IV and I could see it coming down, and I said, "Hey, is that the drugs?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's the milk of amnesia." I said, "Ooh, it kind of burns a little bit." And they were like, "Yep." And that's the last thing I remember. I woke up about, an hour later, and it was done. And literally, I was pretty stoned. Apparently, I was extra Jim, according to Katrina. A little louder than normal, making a few more jokes, maybe pushing the limits a little bit, but she said I was okay. Well, I'll take her word for that. That was it. I went home. She took me home because I was not in any shape to drive. And really, I went home, got something to eat, took a nap. I woke up after that and I felt a little hungover, and then I got up this morning and I was fine. They give you some cool pictures of the inside of your colon, which, if you're into that, is cool, where they had found some polyps and they had cut those off. The guy told Katrina because I was out. He said that he had not seen anything that concerned him. Results will come back in a few days. Really, that was the end of the story. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even say the prep was really that bad, I mean, it was kind of like, hey, I'm going to watch football and just hang out and make a run to the toilet every 15 minutes. And that's pretty much how it was. So if you are having concerns about doing this, I felt nothing. I remember nothing. I've told you everything that I remember. So really, it was not a big deal. If you're concerned about this, everybody's experience is different, but this really was a painless, no big deal procedure, and I would encourage you to get it because colon cancer is a bad thing, and you definitely don't want that. Heading it off by having one of these screenings, whether it be the poop in the box thing or the actual colonoscopy, is definitely something that I would suggest that folks do. So I hope you're having a great day. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. If you haven't been on my channel before, I do adulting stuff. Definitely fits the bill. Lots of varied content, always different. So I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Please like and subscribe and have a great day. Thank you.